Hi, everybody. I'm just sort of making this informal sort of video, just testing things out and sharing my thoughts on a few subjects. I keep seeing this issue with Dungeons and Dragons, the community and such. I keep seeing this issue. It's just Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. It seems like everyone wants to play it. That's all they ever talk about. They don't even consider other systems. Like, it's not even the problem they that they don't want to. I could understand if they voiced their opinions and explained things, like had a reason and such. The thing is, there just isn't any dialogue on the subject. There's no talking about it. If you had a good reason why you don't want to play other systems and such, it would be nice if you could explain it or tell it and we could work things out, like understand things, understand one another. Like talking and understanding how people perceive things, their different perspectives and such. But the trouble is, no one even has dialogue on the subject. No one even talks about it. They don't even explain their point and their perspective on the issue. Like, why do you not want to play any other system? It's literally only that system and nothing else. Like, you won't even tell me why. Is it an issue with, like, difficulty learning a new system? Because some of them are very much easier than Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. I can say personally, from first-hand experience, some of them are much, much easier. Much easier. Much more simple. Like, Vampire the Masquerade and all the other World of Darkness stuff. I gotta tell you, like Monster of the Week, Mutants and Masterminds, I got the hang of things like that real quick. But Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, it was like you keep adding layers on top of it, like things I wasn't familiar with from previous editions, like backgrounds and variant human races. Like, what do you mean? Like, some people are just have the ability to breathe underwater, like Aquaman, and a whole other playable races and species that I thought previously were reserved for monsters and enemies and such, like playing as a kobold, playing as a goblin, playing as a full-blooded orc. And what the heck's a tiefling? That's what I was. What the heck's a loxodon? What is a dragonborn? Like dragon people? I mean, it's all quite unfamiliar to me at the start when I was learning about these things, and now I'm like, I mean, sure, but then you get into this issue where you want every animal that's ever existed to be anthropomorphized and available as a playable character, and I'm like, well, okay, sure, but you kind of take away from concepts like beastmen and beast mixing. Like, think about it. How would it be possible to adapt the island of Dr. Moreau into Dungeons and Dragons? You really couldn't do it so well, because like some of the people that you've already met and are playable races and such, they already are animal human hybrids in a way. Simic hybrid, something that's like half crab, half people. Well, okay, but then some of them are artificial combinations of different species, but then again, some of them are naturally occurring species that are sapient. I don't know. It's all a bit odd to me. It's all very odd. Now, Mutants and Masterminds, that's a role-playing game system that I got into and I really loved. And what's best of all, you can blend all these genres seamlessly. It's not exclusively capes and costumes superheroes. Fantasy, sci-fi, it's all easily interchangeable. It's all easily compatible with one another. It's all really easy to fix it all together. And the enemies, they have the same game mechanics as the players. That's the thing. You can actually swap things around. PvP, optimized for it, works just fine. And you want to switch things around and make the previous players the antagonists of the story? Absolutely. It all works with the same mechanics. That's what I remember how it worked, and I remember loving the system. And every once in a while, I hear these horror stories where people say, "Oh no, you're interpreting that spell description wrong. That's not how that magic spell works." And I'm like, mm, okay, yeah, you have to learn the actual logistics of what that spell describes. Okay, but it's quite different in Mutants and Masterminds because it's not really spells, it's effects. It's like, what does it have? It's a very sort of meta way of looking at things. Like, you can imagine just about anything, and you just have to understand how to describe it in terms of the game mechanics, which it has loads of and is easily understandable. Like, you can do totally abstract sort of things. Like, I had this idea for a character. It's like some sort of metaphysical thing. You just see this red star in the sky, and you look at it, and you look at it for long enough, and eventually you start seeing a face looking at you. That thing is talking to you. I know this sounds crazy, but you could actually do something like that as an actual character. You could do amazingly just about anything you can imagine, because what they did when they made it is like took concepts like any sort of concept, anything you're seeing in media or in comic books or anything like that, you can replicate it in the game because you're looking at the exact sort of features and effects. Like, what's the difference between a fireball and a gun that shoots fire? Not much. Could be a result of technology, could be magic. It can happen. What about characters who are really good at fighting? Any type of fighting there is, martial arts, fist fighting, punching, kickboxing, like something you see out of history, like those I think they're called the Gurkhas. They're like some sort of like super fighter people from Nepal, and they got these swords, like karambit warriors, shotel warriors, not just samurai, but like anything. Shaolin monks, Batman, Daredevil, all the great fighters in like comic books and media and such. You can see all kinds of stuff like like laser vision, X-ray vision, psychic powers, all that. Yeah, all that is supported in that game system. You can do anything like that. It's incredible. And like I said before, seamlessly blending sci-fi and fantasy. Easy. Like, the campaign I was on previously, it was loads of fun. It started out as a tribute to the golden age of comics, like World War II. Our characters were superheroes drafted into the war, joining in, fighting the Nazis, that sort of thing. Yeah, just like Captain America. And we were started out there, and it was great. We easily, seamlessly transitioned into a fantasy adventure where we go to Arcadia, meet Puck, the acting ruler of the fairy people. We fight a clockwork monster. Gigantic, terrible. We met a sphinx. We solved its riddles. There was Titania, the queen of the fairies. It's all over the place, and it works just fine. There was the sci-fi adventure where we were like sort of like Guardians of the Galaxy meets the Suicide Squad. Criminal space people fighting. There was all sorts of crazy stuff, like anything. And it's just so strange that people are so closed-minded about these things. It's not even that they refuse to, it's that they don't even explain why. They don't have dialogue on the subject. They don't talk about it. They don't explain their perspective. And that's the part that's really bugging me, because I'm open-minded. I can do philosophical discussions and such. I can talk to people. I can understand them. But not if they don't talk at all. And that's the part I'm finding really difficult. And I really would like to hear an open discussion on the subject, because absolutely, the comment section, dialogue on this, I'd really like to know. It's really bugging me why I don't have an answer. I try and think of from the perspective of what other people might be going through and try and look at them and see why do they believe what they believe? Why do they think what they think? And I'm like, is it a financial issue? Are you worried that it's too expensive? Personal experience. I mean, I don't want to act like a pirate or nothing, but you look in the right place, you find things for free. Just saying. I mean, there's so many options out there. I hear great things about Call of Cthulhu, World of Darkness. There's a whole bunch of Western stuff that I'm not into, but hey, I keep seeing people putting cowboys and gunslingers in Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm like, really now, guys? I mean, it'd be one thing to have guns. I mean, I'm all right with guns and such, but wouldn't it be of the more old timey kind of stuff? Like, you're skipping right over the colonial era, like muskets and the arquebus, and you know, and no one like brings up janissaries and those really old timey handguns. Like, you just keep skipping over big parts of history and just try and blend everything in. And like, I don't know, guys. It's just you skip right over the colonial era and head right to the Wild West, and you claim it's all the same in a Middle Ages sort of thing, like late Renaissance. And here's the thing, the more I learn about human history and human biology, the stranger it is that it would be replicated on another planet entirely. The more I learn about it, I see the factors that go into what makes people how they are in a sociological sense. And I'm like, why would that happen again on another planet with very different factors and very different situations? You're not even necessarily alone on the planet Earth or whatever setting you're on. There's other species out there that are sapient. Like, you meet the elves, you meet the dwarves, you meet the lizard people. And my feelings about humanity are complicated because, as I said before, it's weird that we just have human beings in a place that has no history for them in terms of evolution and social history and such. They just appear pretty much resembling what they are on Earth, and they happen on another planet. And I'm thinking the only explanation for that has to be some sort of intelligent design or divine intervention and such, which in a fantasy world could be the case. But it always just so weird that people overlook that and just go to the default. That being said, human characters turn out to be, really good because you're not getting hung up on race all the time. You're not thinking, oh, what does this species do? And you're like, oh, humans? Well, you better have an interesting character. And yes, they do. They take into consideration writing and the character concepts when they're making one. So they turn out much better written. That's often how it is. So these crazy people I see on the internet, they say, hey, why are you always playing humans and such? I mean, you can do anything. And I'm like, yeah, but I can't do magic in real life. What are you talking about? And I'm not skilled with fighting, and I can't sneak around like a thief. What are you talking about? And they're always like, I want to play this beast race, and I want to play this fantasy creature, and I want to be a fairy, and I want to be an elf, and I want to be a dwarf, and I want to be a gnome, yada, yada, yada. I want to be a kobold, I want to be a lizard man, I want to be a dragon man, yada, yada, yada. Okay, sure. Yeah, that's fine. I can understand that. But chances are, the other criticism, sometimes the people who do that, they're only focused on the race of the character and such, and not characterization itself. And like, you're going to end up with a real shallow character. And if I wanted to be a cheeky DM, I'd have to send that character to a society of the same race with them. And now you get a good look at, hey, you're not very well written. You're pretty generic. Hey, I'm human McHuman. I like breathing air, and I like sleeping in beds and drinking water. I do all the human stuff. Aren't I an interesting character? And all the other people looking around you like, And, well, that's what happens when you make your character's race their defining characteristic. Look what you've done. Well, this has been quite a ramble, but I think I'm done.
Watching, and we'll see you in the morning. MAGA.